Thank you very much, Ms Harper. That concludes our debate on social prescribing physical activity is an investment, not a cost. Now we're going to turn to the next item of business, which is a debate on motions 20875 and 20874 in the name of Nicola Sturgeon on the appointment of a Scottish Minister and a junior Scottish Minister. Members should note that the questions on the motions will be put immediately after the debate. So I shall invite the First Minister to move the motions. I will then invite party representatives to make short contributions. So can I call on the First Minister to speak to and move the motions?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I'm very pleased to move the motions in my name, seeking Parliament's approval that Kate Forbes be appointed as a Scottish Minister and Jenny Gilruth be appointed as a Scottish Junior Minister. These new appointments come at an important time for Scotland. The underlying strength of our economy are sound, but we, of course, face enormous uncertainty around the UK's future trading relationship with the EU and must also adapt to the challenges of population growth and ending our contribution to climate change. As such, it is vital that the Scottish Government works to maximise Scotland's economic potential, both at home and beyond our shores. The new Finance and Economy team is tasked with doing exactly that. Let me first turn to the Scottish Cabinet. During her time as Minister for Public Finance, Kate Forbes has demonstrated a forensic grasp of detail. Kate was widely and rightly praised for stepping in and calmly delivering the Scottish budget so ably at short notice and in circumstances that we would not have chosen. In the SNP, we've also always known the talent that we have in Kate Forbes, but with budget negotiations ongoing, I'm sure that members across the chamber are already recognising that in Kate they have a capable and approachable Finance Secretary who will listen carefully to their suggestions both in the coming weeks and in the longer term. Fiona Hislop will become Cabinet Secretary for Economy, Fair Work and Culture. Fiona is rightly held in high regard by politicians and diplomats in European capitals and further afield. The level of goodwill shown towards Scotland across the EU, particularly in recent times, didn't happen by accident. It is in no small part down to Fiona's skill, commitment and hard work. She will now turn her efforts to bringing people together and promoting Scotland's strengths closer to home, working closely and collaboratively with the business community and trade unions to strengthen sustainable economic growth. Fiona will also drive forward the Government's Fair Work agenda and retain her responsibility for culture. Michael Russell becomes Cabinet Secretary for the Constitution, Europe and External Affairs. Having fought Scotland's corner during the Brexit negotiations over the past few years, which of course he will now continue to do, Michael will also take on the task of building our European and international relations in the post-Brexit environment. And last but by no means least, Fergus Ewing, the Rural Economy Secretary, will add tourism to his existing responsibilities. Let me turn now to the junior ministerial team. Firstly, I am delighted to nominate Jenny Gilruth, who will, subject of course to Parliament's agreement, take on the role of Minister for Europe and International Development. Jenny has used her experience as a teacher to inform for the better many a debate in this Parliament, and she has also been, and I am sure will continue to be, a true champion of her constituency. She will support Michael Russell in the enhanced engagement with Europe that is now required, and also ensure that we play our part here in Scotland in building the fairer world that we all want to see. Meanwhile, Ben McPherson will build on his excellent work on developing our Scottish visa proposal as the new Minister for Public Finance and Migration. The link between our population, our economy and our future finances is of course a vital one, and I have no doubt that Ben will continue to make the case loudly and clearly for Scotland's unique migration needs. He will also work across government to help secure the funding to tackle the climate emergency and ensure that well-being sits at the very heart of our budget process. Presiding Officer, the appointments today that I am seeking Parliament's agreement to demonstrate a breadth and depth of talent. I know that the new team is very much looking forward to getting started, and it gives me enormous pleasure to move both motions in my name.
Thank you very much, and I call Liam Kerr to speak on behalf of the Conservatives.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. This is my first opportunity to contribute to a ministerial movements debate. As the First Minister said, I think it's fair to say the circumstances which occasioned the changes are not what any of us would have chosen, and there are difficult decisions to be taken as a consequence. However, we are where we are, and I congratulate the First Minister on her choices. I'm sure she is sufficiently confident in her abilities not to have to submit her thoughts and those of her advisers to a Holyrood committee, but perhaps our colleague Ian Blackford didn't get that memo. We welcome the appointment of Jenny Gilruth to the post of Europe and International Development Minister. Her strong presence on the Justice Committee leads me to conclude she will do a good job in representing the portfolio. I'm sure she will appreciate the irony that in a context of budget cuts to practically every aspect of government responsibility, her department's budget is being increased by around £2 million to £25 million, and that, of course, such things remain reserved. And by splitting responsibility from the budget for the budget from responsibility to growing the economy, Fiona Hislop adds economy and fair work to her culture secretary role. I agree with the First Minister. Fiona is an impressive performer and she will no doubt welcome the new responsibility. But given that the Scottish GDP has flatlined for a decade, the employment rate trails the UK and productivity is stalling, it's fair to say she'll have her work cut out. And finally, of course, Kate Forbes is confirmed as Finance Secretary. The First Minister said herself she was pleased to be able to put Scotland finances and economy into the hands of two incredibly talented colleagues. And there is no doubt that Kate has stood out since her election in 2016. There are some considerable challenges, with COSLA flagging the impact of cuts to core local government budgets of £95 million, and of course the police flagging that they face an unsustainable financial deficit. But I do welcome Kate Forbes' fresh approach and was genuinely delighted to read that she dislikes her colleagues' obsession with blaming Brexit and Westminster. This willingness for a major SNP government figure to take responsibility for devolved issues is as welcome as it is novel. And so, Presiding Officer, we support these appointments, but I respectfully suggest to the new ministers to enjoy their time in the spotlight and take full advantage of the opportunity, because from May 2021, I fully expect the seats that they now occupy to be filled by members sat behind me right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, colleagues. Could I call on Rhoda Grant to speak on behalf of the Labour Party?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I welcome Kate Forbes and Jenny Gilruth to their new posts, and indeed Fiona Hislop, Mike Russell and Fergus Ewing to their changed posts, and wish them well on that. If I can, I want to focus my comments on Kate Forbes, who did deliver the budget statement in trying circumstances. She rose to the task at short notice. Doing so led to comments, some of it congratulatory, but much, in my opinion, was condescending and sexist, dressed up as praise. And I hope that doesn't continue, because it's not strange for a woman to be Cabinet Secretary for Finance. However, there are challenges for her ahead. She delivered somebody else's draft budget and she only has 2 short weeks to make that her own. I will be meeting with her tomorrow and will offer our support to change this budget into one that invests in the future of Scotland, a budget that tackles climate change and protects local services, that gives young people the same freedom to travel as their grandparents enjoy, that allows people to remain at home while they receive health and community care they need there, and to ensure that our population is equipped with the skills they need to build our economy. These are modest requests, and I hope that Kate Forbes will make them her own and will join with us and invest in Scotland's future.
Thank you very much. And can I call on Patrick Harvey speaking on behalf of the Green Party?
Thank you. 2 weeks ago, we were expecting a Scottish Cabinet Secretary for Finance to present a budget and complain about the uncertainty created by the UK Chancellor. I don't think any of us expected them both to be gone before the time we debated the budget. Nobody would have predicted those circumstances, one as a result of scandal, the other as a result of a power grab by a Prime Minister and his senior advisor. Even after those resignations, though, I don't think any of us could have imagined that that same senior advisor would raise the bar on ill-judged political appointments to such a high level. By comparison with that shambles, these appointments today were always bound to be relatively consensual. It makes sense to me to unite the Constitution, Europe and External Affairs portfolios under a single team, not just in relation to trying to prevent the harm of Brexit domestically, but also projecting Scotland's place as a European country externally. Just yesterday, I visited a business that's seen a huge drop-off in its customers from EU member states, and there'll be people in every constituency and region experiencing the same thing. So Jenny Gilruth and Mike Russell are going to have to proactively project Scotland's place as a proudly European country in the rest of the European Union. And Ben McPherson's role in advocating for an open, welcoming and generous approach to migration will also be critical on that. Fiona Hislop takes on the Fair Work agenda, and there has been good progress, but much more needing to be built on, and we look forward to putting constructive pressure to bear on Fiona Hislop on that agenda. Kate Forbes, of course, has the toughest job in the immediate weeks ahead in presenting the budget, and if she's going to build the political agreement that her predecessor hasn't done before he left office, she's going to need to recognise that her job is not just to challenge opposition parties to accept the Cabinet's position, but to challenge the Cabinet to accept the political reality and the need for compromise. Presiding Officer, Kate Forbes and Jenny Gilruth, the two new appointments, are clearly both bright, articulate and capable people. And whatever political disagreements we have, all of us, I think, should want Cabinet and Ministerial office to be held by bright, capable and articulate people. So while Dominic Cummings scurries back out to the murky corners of the eugenics subreddits to go talent hunting for the UK government, let us celebrate the fact that we hold ourselves to a slightly higher standard, congratulate the new appointments and wish them well in their work.
Thank you. And I call on Alex Cole-Hamilton to speak on behalf of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. It gives me great pleasure to respond on behalf of the Liberal Democrats to this ministerial reshuffle today. My time is very short, so can I congratulate those in government already who've been moved to new challenges in this administration, but I will use my time to welcome those two talented members of the class of 2016 promoted today. Kate Forbes, herself a native Gael, is liked across the chamber and is well received on any subject and in any language of all of the 2016 intake. It was clear from the start that she was destined for greatness, and that was evident when she passed the first trial by fire just days before she stepped in to deliver the budget. In that crucible of parliamentary intrigue that is the non-domestic rates bill, she single-handedly reduced support for devolving control of business rates to our council to just 10 votes, down from the majority that she found against her at the committee. She will need those snake charming abilities as we come into the budget negotiations. Presiding Officer, Jenny Gilruth last year broke the internet. She, as part of an online event, revealed to the world how she had come out to her mother as being gay. She revealed that she'd told the story in stages, and the first piece of information she'd given her mother was that this person was a political party leader with whom she was in a relationship. Of course, her mother naturally assumed that she meant Willie Rennie. She could do a lot worse than Willie Rennie. Given the energy with which Jenny has fought for European citizens in Scotland, she is well suited to the office that she assumes today. The symmetry between my career and her own is now uncanny, apart from all the successful bits. Not only were we elected on the same day, but we went to the same school, Madras College in St Andrews, and our modern studies teacher, Mrs Brown, will be pleased as punch for Jenny today. She will rightly be asking when it's my turn. You and me both, Lynn. As a teacher in my constituency, and as an MSP, she has inspired many people over her working life, and much as I hate to admit it, she inspires me, and I welcome her to her place.
Thank you very much, colleagues. So there are two questions to be put. The first question is that motion 20875 in the name of the First Minister on the appointment of a Scottish Minister be agreed to. Are we all agreed? Yes. We are agreed. And as the Parliament has agreed to the First Minister's recommendations, she may now invite Her Majesty to approve the appointment of Kate Forbes as Scottish Minister. Congratulations. The next question is that motion 20874 in the name of the First Minister on the appointment of a Scottish Minister be agreed to. Are we all agreed? Yes. We are agreed, and as the Parliament has agreed to the First Minister's recommendations, she may now invite Her Majesty to approve the appointment of Jenny Gilruth as a junior Scottish Minister. My congratulations. Thank you very much, colleagues. We're going to turn to decision time, and there is only one question today. The question is that motion 20753, in the name of Lewis MacDonald, on the Health and Sport Committee's report, Social Prescribing Physical Activity is an Investment, not a Cost, be agreed. Are we all agreed? We are agreed, and that concludes decision time. We're going to move on shortly to members' business in the name of Alistair Allen on Gaelic medium education in the Western Isles. We're just going to take a short pause, not a suspension, just a short pause to allow members, ministers and the public to change seats.